got an old ream. Here's your initial approval sticker from the inspection in 1978. It's very seldom we come across anything that's from the 70s. And cat's out of the bag, I'm bald. Hey, this is Phillip with Yarbrough Sons. We're here in Edmond this morning. We got a call to come do an HVAC inspection on an air conditioning system that's 20 plus years old, and we're gonna take a look at that outdoor unit. And from what I hear, the indoor unit may be even pushing 50 years old. So I'm excited to get in there and take a look at that and see what we run into this morning. Well, this morning it's about 50 degrees. It's gorgeous. I think it's gonna get up to 75, 78 today. Good day for a spring tune-up or an AC check of any kind. Let's see, we'll go this way. All right, first look at this thing. It's actually 24 years old. Had the condenser fan motor replaced at some point. That's an aftermarket motor. You've got a lot of deteriorating wires right there. That reverses the polarity of the motor to make it spin one way or the other, and those wires have been exposed to the sun, cracked through. Ground wire's pretty cracked. Good thing your high voltage wires don't look to have too much damage, but they've definitely been faded. I'd say that motor just visually doesn't seem to be in great shape. We'll dive in, check amperage. I'll eventually pull this top over and we'll check the bearings on that motor and see whether or not we got any play in that shaft before we determine anything else about this motor. This is an older style. You'd see a lot of this on this is a Carrier product. I believe this is a Payne. Carrier, you had some of the older round units. You had some old GE units that were round. And honestly, that was before my time. I've been in the trade this is my 15th year. And since I've been in the trade, you don't see many of these at all. Yeah, I mean, we got a very pitted contactor just right off the bat. Capacitor's been replaced at some point. That's your capacitor for your fan motor that we were talking about. And this one is just powering your compressor now. It's going to help start that compressor, and that thing has been replaced at some point. So we'll check capacitance on those, and I'm going to dive in and check power. 246 clean coming in. That's good. Well, and with the I don't know if you can see the shape of this disconnect right here. This thing has been held on by some zip ties which have broken. I'm not gonna stick my hand in there and pull that out just for safety's sake. That's got high potential to lead to shocking myself or causing further issues to the homeowner. So now, see if we can locate the breaker for this thing. It's an older home, so hopefully they're labeled. And if not, we'll just have to warn the homeowners that we're gonna have to trip a few breakers to find out what's going here. Luckily, double pole breaker, there's not many to choose from in there, so we'll get it right on 1 out of 3 tries, I believe. But let's go and see how we can safely kill the power now. Should be a 30. 30. All right, I'm gonna have to warn the homeowner that we're gonna start turning some breakers off. Well, so far I'm waiting on a response from the homeowner because the breakers are not clearly labeled. This unit is only rated for a 30 amp, so I tried both 30 amps. Neither one of them killed this outdoor unit, and there's 250 amps in there, which I suspect one of those, but one of them's labeled main. Let's see if our third try was correct with this unlabeled panel. Hey, third time's a charm. We're going to go label that as air conditioning. Now we can really dive a little closer into this disconnect. Well, I've been curious to see what this was caught on. Oh yeah, screws have fallen out of it. Better close-up picture here of what we're dealing with. Surprising, no signs of burned wires in here. Pull this thing out. Hey, that actually pulled out. Okay. They had 35s in it. It's only rated for 30 amp fuses. I would definitely recommend replacing these here. Better than just being on the 50 amp breaker, but still not where we should be. Well, now that we've safely killed power, I'm going to go ahead and do a bench test on both of these capacitors. This here is a little pet peeve of mine and a lot of guys within the trade, where you just shove the thing in the box and leave it in the box. And we as a company like to make sure that our units are put back together in a neat way so that the next technician that comes to look at this is not scratching or shaking his head about what he sees. Can't say this doesn't work, it's just ugly, and I don't like the thought of leaving extra paper and cardboard in the electrical section. So we'll figure out another way to mount this before we're out of here. Little 5 microfarad. Fairly damaged wire on really both terminals are not looking healthy. We'll do a little bench test and see. 4.3, so that's going to be a little bit below factory specs. And plus the overall shape of these wiring connections, I don't like that. We would clean that up as well if they wanted us to go ahead and replace this capacitor. We've had previously replaced capacitors and fan motor. I'm looking at an extremely pitted contactor, the switch that actually tells the air conditioner to, this outdoor unit, to come on when it gets a call from the thermostat. And if you check right behind my finger there, you can see some severe pitting. Every time this air conditioner gets a signal to come on, that switch closes, and you get a lot of pitting from these contacts getting hot, slamming shut, opening up over time. And this is one of the more common parts that we replace. It's usually a 5-7 year part, and I would have no idea whether this one has ever been replaced or not in its 24 years of service. I'm definitely going to talk to the homeowner about getting a price to replace this system, just to have that price to compare side by side with repair prices, because a lot of things that are currently underperforming, a lot of things that are going to be on their way out soon. Still haven't checked the amperage on that fan motor, which I'm very curious about. A couple other things I've just noticed here. This low voltage wire here, you got good connections within the cabinet, but you follow it back. This has been spliced onto at some point. Follow it back here, you can see where we had the 2-wire from the original install coming through, and we're spliced together right there. Got a decent bind in the wire. You follow it back up here, you can see our casing is completely split open, exposed wire right there, and then going through the brick. So on something like that, I'm going to recommend replacing that wire as well, because this line set was replaced at some point during the last change out, and I'm not sure why the company didn't pull a new set of thermostat wire with it to keep it concealed, just to install new wire for the sake of making sure the system's going to work for a long time. All right, I'm just going to pop this condenser fan motor off, pop the top off the unit, and double check the bearings on this condenser fan motor, see if we've got free spin. Large amount of rust on this motor, a little bit of deterioration in the coloration of the wires. Looks like these 2 capacitor wires might be stuck together. If they've been having UV light shown on them since it's been replaced, there's a chance those are stuck together. So I just want to get in there and see, and you know, really not a lot of play in that motor. That's good news for them. Kind of surprising just looking at the overall shape of the discoloration, rust. Usually when you have that, you also have play in the bearings, so that's good. Let's go the right way with it. Yeah, no, she's pretty healthy based on everything we've seen so far. Check these wires. Nothing's melted together. I think they were just stuck together close enough. I thought they might have been melted together, but they all feel to be okay. That's pretty surprising. That old motor is held up better than it looks. Out here this morning, we're at about 52 degrees so far, just starting off beautiful. We're going to get up to about 70 today. This is the perfect time to get us out, get your air conditioner looked at before the heat comes in May and in June. We'll come in, clear the drain, replace the filter, check the overall quality of the indoor blower. Come out here, big part taking this outdoor unit apart and getting it washed, stripped down, cleaned out, put back together, checking all these components. It's a very good idea to get ahead of all that, you know, give us a chance to put our eyes on 30-40 components and potential problems before the heat hits. So far, my overall assessment, looking at this without looking at the indoor yet, got a lot of issues out here, a lot of age on this system. Ultimately, I am going to come away with some needed repairs, but I'm going to also suggest that we get those repairs compared and contrasted with the price of a new system, because the amount of money and time that you would put into this, and each one of these single components that we would replace would have a 1-year warranty on the part itself. But say your compressor went out, say that fan motor went out, none of that would be covered, just the 3 parts that I'm going to recommend replacing so far from what I've seen. I don't know that this unit would give me a whole lot of peace of mind as a homeowner, just for the fact that there are so many impending problems. We'll kick it on, see how it's cooling, and my hope is that I can give them a good report today that they're going to be up and cooling at the time I leave, but for how long, that's going to be impossible to determine just with the overall shape of this thing. Let's go ahead and go to the thermostat, turn it to cooling, and see what we're looking at with our amperage and our refrigerant pressures. Go from there. Just looking at thermostat, you see a lot of these OG&E thermostats around this area. People seem to have mixed feelings. People either really love them or really dislike them. Oh man, we've got an old ream. Here's your initial approval sticker from the inspection in 1978. That's an old furnace. Dive in and see we're still holding a pilot. You don't see a whole lot of standing pilot furnaces left these days. Seems to be burning clean. That thermocouple is dirty as heck. That thermocouple is something I'm going to recommend to get replaced. You see just a lot of white buildup on that whole pilot assembly right there. That's something that's still obviously currently working, still holding the pilot, but with as built up as that is, we're going to at least clean it, but I'm going to ultimately recommend replacing that to keep it up and going. You know, same thing with the indoor as the outdoor. With the overall age and shape of this thing, I am ultimately going to walk away with giving them a price for equipment replacement, to leave them to decide. Inspect this air filter. Dated about 2 months ago, and I believe them. Not the worst I've seen, but that definitely is time. So we'll get that taken care of as well. Homeowner had told me that he'd replaced the blower motor out himself a few years ago, and he wanted me to double check on that while I was here and make sure it was the correct horsepower and voltage and all that, but he said it's worked since. Looking at this blower wheel, not bad. A little bit of dust collection for 47 years old. I'm willing to bet that this blower has been pulled and cleaned out at some point. A lot cleaner than I would have expected. It's very seldom we come across anything that's from the 70s. I mean, I'd say we're at the point it's even very rare where we come across anything from the 80s, and 90s is getting rarer by the day. All right, next step, we're going to turn it to air conditioning, and we'll go check our pressures and check our amperage and voltage on all of our components and see what's going on. Going to freeze them out for a little while this morning. Let's go. Blower motor sounds great. Oh, we're good. We'll go check outside. Before we fire this on, anytime I take a fan top off, I don't care how long I've been doing this, I'm going to take a screwdriver or something, give that a free spin, just make sure I don't have any wires caught up, because I did that once about 10 years ago, and that's the kind of thing that sticks with you. I did have nightmares about that. Man, sounds rough. You know, I have a bunch of footage of my hair blowing in the wind. Dive in here and start checking some amperage. We're pulling, yeah, it's got some noise to it. We're not having any crazy amperage. What you're hearing is noise. I think this fan motor spins at 1,075 rotations per minute. It's been doing that for 24 years, for 6 months out of the year. Just a lot of rattle. Nothing I would recommend replacing today. This is the situation where if they're going to look at replacing any components, I would really lean towards replacing the system, just for the peace of mind, for the warranty, for everything that would bring with it, as opposed to a temporary repair on a 24-year-old outdoor unit with a 47-year-old indoor unit. So we'll go ahead and check refrigerant pressures. I've got the gist. Get a swig of coffee. There's actually a lot of exciting things going on right now at Yarbrough Sons. We're in the middle of opening up a branch up in here in Edmond right now, due to the fact that we've been running so many calls up here for so many years, and we finally got the call volume up enough where it made sense to put in another location. I'm from Edmond myself, excited about this personally, so I'll be working a lot closer to home every day, and a lot of big things coming. Excited to be part of this. Let's go check out this Phillip charging blanket for check and charge in cooler weather, and I'm gonna go put it to the test. All right. This is kind of a funky little cylindrical unit, so this was fun to put the charging jacket on, but we got it mounted. We're gonna get this thing turned on and double check this refrigerant charge. So we'll check and see what our refrigerant pressures are looking like. Yeah, what this charging blanket does is it kind of puts this unit under a bit of a stress test. Since we're in the 50-degree range this morning, we want to make sure that we're able to check this and trick this outdoor unit into thinking it's closer to 90 degrees outside. So far, the refrigerant pressures are actually looking great, which is very surprising. That's after about 3 minutes of run time, so I don't like to make that determination for sure until we've had 15 minutes of run time. I think we'll go back inside, get some equipment information, come back and check this thing here in a few minutes. Since we had so many problems locating this breaker, this is very simple, but can maybe save somebody else a headache. We're gonna kill that so we can take off our charging blanket. I like the charging blanket. That's the first time I've used it in the field, and No, I feel confident. Got this thing up to about a 260 degree high side, which is going to be comparable to an 80 something degree day. Superheat was pretty impressive for as old as this system is. It's holding at about 18, which tells me that we're going to be pretty close to range, and there's not going to be a very accurate charge description on this because we've got a mismatched furnace to mismatched evaporator coil to mismatched air conditioner. So with this, we've got healthy pressures. Overall, the refrigerant charge was pretty impressive on this thing. Still got a lot electrically going on that I'm going to recommend getting taken care of before it becomes a problem. But yeah, overall, impressed with this jacket. Ultimately came away, we got 47-year-old indoor, had an inspection sticker from 1978 where it was approved. Got a 2001 outdoor unit, and the evaporator coil inside, I couldn't determine the age because the sticker had been taped over, and if I'd have removed that tape, I would have just pulled the sticker off anyway. Overall, a lot of stuff going on within that outdoor unit. We're going to ultimately get them pricing for equipment replacement while we're here, just so they have that in their back pocket to compare along with the repair prices. And we didn't get to talk to the homeowners a whole lot while we were here. They had a lot going on this morning, and luckily they trusted us to be coming and going through their houses. They're barely present. Ultimately didn't get to really establish that communication with them, so we're going to sit here for a few minutes, get all the repair pricing built up, get replacement pricing built up for them, and then we'll ultimately let them know. And cat's out of the bag, I'm bald. So overall, system with a lot of years on it, ultimately still running. So we're going to make sure we relay that information to the homeowner. They weren't in a point this morning they could really stop and communicate much. Had things going on with kids and one parent at work. So what we're going to do is go ahead and put together a bunch of estimates for them. I've made sure to get their email information, and they're expecting these estimates to come. So we'll send these repair estimates to them, as well as an email for equipment replacement. It's been a beautiful day here in Edmond, and off to the next one.